Welcome to Cozy's Corner, our corner of the internet where no discussion is off limits. Here, we deep dive into interesting topics that the community wants, and together we find out about strange, mysterious, or conspiratorial topics. So grab your coffee, get nice and cozy, and let's dive in. So, like everyone else, I spend a lot of my time in bed scrolling when I should be sleeping. I just happen to look at the paranormal stuff that scares me shitless, then I can't sleep. Here are some of the stories that spooked me a little bit more than the average one. Before moving forward, I wanted to remind everyone, if you enjoy this deep dive, please remember to like the video. It really helps with YouTube's algorithm. Comment what you liked about it, and if you loved it, consider subscribing. Lastly, remember to join the conversation on our Discord channel. Back to the story. So today we have 3 chilling posts that I want to show you, and we'll discuss them. Links are going to be in the description in case you want to look at them for yourselves. The first is titled, "Our Army Unit Encountered a Jinn." This story, as the title suggests, details a horrifying encounter of someone stationed in Iraq during April of 2006. The poster, who is user HavaDucky81, goes on to state that they were deployed in the U.S. Army and stationed in Iraq about 80 miles outside of Baghdad. The poster states they were on their way home as they were on an emergency medical leave due to a relative dying. To get back home to the States, they had to trek back to Baghdad to catch the flight. The poster, in a Humvee with 4 others and in 2 additional Humvees, totaling 15 people, set out their 80-mile journey. The Humvee up front stops. This is where anything but the normal happened. Well, it would be typical though, actually, if there were road hazards such as an IED, but this was something much more sinister. The discussion between the stopped Humvee up front and the others went as followed, outlined in the post.
Up ahead. Why did you stop?
Something flew in front of the Humvee.
Repeat. Did you say something flew in front of the Humvee?
Yes. At this point in the conversation, a shadow is seen in the distance by all. The poster describes it as a black figure which looked like a huge bird. Curiously, the user says it was emanating smoke, blackish green in color, with maybe a bit of a blue tinge. This is where the story gets really crazy. Once they notice the shadow in the distance, a rock the user claims to be literally the size of someone's head is hurled at the group of the Humvees. They use a spotlight to see what this thing is, and it flies straight up, escaping, never to be seen again. Lastly, the user outlines that once they did arrive in Baghdad, a translator who was a native of the area helped identify this creature, an Ifrit, or a winged jinn. Now honestly, I don't know if I really believe this story. It just seems a little too grandiose and a little too far-fetched. Now, the story itself is not why I'm telling it. Truthfully, it's more of an honorable mention. This story is the one that got me interested in more like it, and wow, there are a lot. And there actually are a lot that are much more believable than this too. Honestly, these are worth looking through, and I may do another video strictly just on these in the future if you guys want me to. Our second story is titled, "I have never experienced genuine terror until last night." A word from our sponsor, Obtuse. The second story involves either shadow people or a ghost. Either way, user Girl Danny DeVito, who has a great username, starts off their encounter story by saying that this is their first visual encounter that they have ever had with any form of entity. The user goes on to state that they had just moved into a new basement suite or apartment. Something key to this story, the unit had been recently completely gutted, almost of all of its contents, and replaced. Well, everything actually except the bathroom. Apparently the reason that this had been a massive police investigation inside of that particular housing unit. The user claims that they don't really know much about this exact investigation, other than that it was for drug-related incidents. Our user finds themselves cleaning the bathroom, and during this they notice what they believe to be blood on the radiator. Take a look at a picture of it right now for yourself and judge yourself. Personally, I believe that this is just rust. I don't think that blood would look anywhere close to this. It looks more like fresh rust. Either way, this user is getting really bad vibes from the bathroom, the only room that was not renovated before them moving in. The user then goes on to say that a couple hours after this, his girlfriend goes to the bedroom and he falls asleep on the couch watching TV. He woke up around 4 a.m. to his cat knocking plants off the windowsill and playing with the blinds. The user's girlfriend wakes up to ask what's going on and sees the mess and asks if we can just leave it for tomorrow and just come to bed already. He goes on to say that he just wanted to get the cleaning over with and stayed up for another 20 minutes getting the cat's mess all sorted out. Still a little heated about the cat breaking stuff in the house, he goes to throw out some of the scraps of the potted plant and notice his girlfriend standing in the doorway that leads to their bedroom. He apologizes for staying up and keeping her up and says that he'll be to bed soon. His girlfriend just stood there facing him. He figured that she might just be upset from not coming to bed sooner. He finished cleaning and she was just staring at him the whole time. Eventually, once finished, he walked past her and into the bedroom and she did not move an inch. He opened the bedroom door and his heart sank. There was his girlfriend, lying awake in bed, awoken from him entering the bedroom. His girlfriend, seeing dread on his face, sprung up and asked what was wrong. After gathering himself, he told her that he literally had just seen her in the hallway and walked past her. They opened the door to try and find whatever it was that he had just walked past, and it had completely vanished. Now that one is really creepy and rightfully had scared the hell out of this dude. Now, based on the info that this guy had presented, I actually think it's much more likely, if there was anything paranormal going on here, that it's not a ghost. Instead, I strongly believe that this thing would have been a shadow person. I think that he was a little bit overly paranoid about what he believed to be blood and assumed that it would have been related to this experience. Either way, this was an absolutely frightening experience and makes you wonder what might really be out there watching us. Our third story is titled Psych Ward Incident That Still Gives Me Chills and Confuses Me. This one, as the title suggests, involves a person who's visiting a psych ward. But like actually visiting and not forcefully visiting, if you kind of catch my drift. User I Have So Much to Say posts this story, and in it details how they went to visit their friend after their mental breakdown to check up on them. As they were not an approved visitor, they had to wait for their friend's mom to come along. This particular place had an outdoor waiting area in a garden. Our user entered the garden, finding only a gardener attending to it. Eventually, our user finds a receptionist on break sitting next to them and having idle chat, when all of a sudden, a scream. A very intense, very shrill scream of terror. Both of them look over to investigate where it's coming from, and they see a younger girl, who the poster describes as no more than 12, trying to scratch and claw their way away from a caretaker. Chills run down the poster's body, which they said was odd because they didn't feel personally threatened or that anything was out of the ordinary given the circumstances of where they were. The girl keeps screaming and lunging at the man, trying to get away from him. The whole time it's as if he's oblivious to this, and he's just standing there, blank-faced, not even really moving. The receptionist darts over to the girl and starts talking to her in a language the poster says they didn't understand. The kid stops screaming and gets ushered away by the receptionist. When the receptionist was passing our poster, they stated that it appeared that the receptionist hadn't wanted them to see that they had saw something that may have even been forbidden. When she looked back at the man, he was just gone, vanished. Shaken up, our poster looks over to find that their friend's mom is walking towards the reception. Before leaving, the gardener comes over and tells the poster, "Don't worry about the man. He comes and goes, and sometimes he scares the patients here. Not on purpose, but some are much more sensitive than others." Now, how's that for a ghost story? Not a ghost of a patient, but of apparently someone who actually worked there. And that would completely terrify me. I mean, imagine, not only are you in a psych ward, presumably with some sort of mental trauma, but now you gotta deal with ghosts pretending to be caretakers. That's someone that you really can't catch a break. Well, those were 3 stories that I found compelling for one reason or another, and I thought that I would share that with you lovely people. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to give it a like if you want to see more content like this, and consider subscribing. Lastly, don't forget to join the conversation on the Discord channel linked below. Thanks for coming to Cozy's Corner, and good night, friends.